Hi friends, this is Sarah from Crafting and Relaxing. Today's video is a long one, so get a cup of coffee or turn this on and clean your craft room, craft along with me, whatever you want to do, but this is a long one. I'm sharing with you, I'm working on the Echo Park collection that I got last year at Tuesday morning called A Perfect Summer. And I have the 12 by 12 paper and the collection, you know how it comes with the stickers in it Tuesday morning, and also the 6 by 6. And then I've added in some Echo Park stuff that I got in my box, my warehouse box. It didn't really work, but you'll see how much of it I used later. Some of the colors might have been right, but the style wasn't. So here I'm just showing you what I have when I started. Quite a few 6 by 6s, more 12 by 12 than I would like. I worked on this collection a lot last summer, used most of the fish. I did like the fish, used a lot of hot air balloons, and there's a blue pattern in this pack that I really like. So that makes it even harder. Now you'll see that I've sped this video up. I'm running this video 6 and 7 times real time. I spent hours and hours and hours. In this video, I make a batch of about 24 cards, and then today I made 12. So there are a lot of cards in this. But there's a lot of different techniques, and I'm showing how I really attack a paper pack. I think it's even more miserable when you have one that is open and started, and maybe you've just lost your mojo with it. This one is a little hard for me, I think, because there are so many super geometric patterns, and I like things a little more organic, a little more natural. These are really strong, hot colors in geometric patterns, which is hard for me. So ironically, I add navy to tone it down a little. In this section, if you're making a batch of cards, this is a really good way to do it, where you repeat the same step over and over. In other parts of this video, I didn't do it as well, but instead of making one card start to finish, just batch it if you can. And you've seen me do that a little bit. I think in my winter card videos I did it, where I laid them out and I showed you. In this situation, I was doing a bunch of this before work in the morning and after work, so speed was of the essence. So here you can see I picked the large, very summery patterns. That's why I used the ice cream cone side and the hot air balloon side. I love the blue side, of course, so I was a little bummed to cover it up, but I was really trying to bring in a variety of colors, because when you get later in the paper pack, sometimes it's hard to match things. And those of you who are practicing on mixing and matching, we'll talk about that more in my card series. I put that one card on there and trimmed it because it was crooked. So if you stick it on there and it's not centered, trim the other side that you need to. It's not the end of the world. Nobody will notice. When I cut these papers, in some places in this video, I doubled up the paper. I think I even tripled it at some point. I will tell you, it takes more muscle. I should have gotten my big green cutter out probably and used it to really cut the paper and not have to put so much muscle into it. My hands are sore after making all these cards this weekend. You can see I cut my front paper, my patterned paper, and then I look for a mat that will go with it. Just in my solids, those are my cheapies from Michael's or Joann's. On sale, you can get them for about $2.50. Here's an example. I got out the small Tim Holtz cutter and I'm putting some muscle into it, and I'm cutting multiples at once because I'm in it for speed. I have a lot of cards to make. Not only am I doing the no paper left behind, Daniela Hayes has been doing this and I've been watching it, so I am no paper left behinding this stack of paper, but I also need cards because I'm making them for school office staff, and the elementary schools leave soon. So I'm running out of time, and that's why I wanted to get a bunch of them done Thursday night so I could send them out last Friday, and then the rest of them are going to go out Monday morning. So it's not just that I'm aggressively trying to use up this paper pack. I kind of like the back of this paper that I didn't use. But anyway, but I also have a strong need. So if you need to do a bunch of cards in a hurry, change your approach, batch them. You will notice, I'm going to tell you right now, and then I'll point it out again. I should have punched or die cut out of every single one of those navy pieces of paper and those green pieces of paper. I should have had a stack of things to use for embellishments. I could have grabbed a paper punch, a die cut. I probably would have used a punch just for speed. I would have just gone punch, 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 punch. I completely forgot. The first batch, I didn't even think of it. I didn't do one single one. That is a trick that Christy Marcotte, you've heard me talk about her before, she does. It's really a good way to make your paper last and get your value. What I'm doing here is I'm going through the sticker sheet, and that 12 by 12 sticker sheet is off to the left. I've talked about those before. I love to get those with the paper packs. The problem is I used this last year, so my favorite stickers are gone, and when I am doing like a no paper left behind kind of challenge, and when I'm trying to use something up, I want to use every single sticker on that sheet. I'm not going to mess around. So unless it says something that's maybe not appropriate, or oh my gosh, on my winter cards, I used Baby It's Cold Outside, and then like the next day on the way to work after I'd given out all those cards, I heard about how some stations weren't playing that song because it wasn't appropriate. Oops. That was on a bunch of my stickers. Okay, live and learn. Anyway, here, this is an example of why I don't attach that layer. I wrapped that paper twine around it. It gives you the option. I punched a piece of cardboard so that that ice cream cone wouldn't be all crinkly and wrinkled. And then later, in other cards, I figured out a way to not have to punch things. I tried to keep them flatter. I was really thinking about speed and efficiency, which sometimes when I'm layering cards or making cards, I don't. But if you're going to make, I needed essentially 60 some cards, and Artsy Ashley helped me with some, and Noni helped me with some, and Hillary helped me, but I procrastinated, people. It's my busy season at work, and I've been busy, and there was Expo. I love this strip that I cut up, and I didn't think about it. Lots of times I would leave those big long 12 by 12 strips and say, oh, well, they don't work. In this, I took them and I cut them apart, and I think I did a pretty good job using them. We'll see what's left. So I have I Love Summer, and then you'll see what I do with the I Love Blue Skies. I really like how that card turned out too. Hot air balloons, super cute, super easy. You'll notice I just take the sentiment, the I Love Sunshine, and I lay it on the blue paper, and then I run it in the cutter. And I get it pretty close, and then I center it and glue it down. It doesn't have to be perfect. If you want it to be perfect, you can align it on one side and then use the 1/4 inch edge. It's totally up to you. I just wing it most of the time. This was a cut apart in the pack. It said summer. I struggle sometimes in using the cut aparts, so I decided to make it more of a banner than a square. Instead of like a journaling card, I used it as a banner, and I was looking for something that had that red and white textured paper because it goes with the trailer. It's not the same length as the card, but I think it worked. This one, I loved the cut apart, but it was really busy, and it was really busy on the ice cream cones, and I probably should have matted it in navy to tone it down. So then I hit the edge with some ink to just separate it a little. That's another trick. You can use corner rounders, you can ink your edges. There's all sorts of things that you can do to make your cards your own. But when I'm in a hurry, I'm just going like the wind. I'm not inking my edges, I'm not using a corner rounder. I'm just going fast. And part of the attraction for using the cut aparts in the pad and the stickers is to get your sentiment or your embellishment without having to die cut, without having to make embellishments or stamp things. You'll notice when I'm trying to make a bunch of cards, I'm not stamping. I'm going as fast as I can with just the paper, the scrapbook paper itself. I like stamping. I have stamps. I have platforms. But when I'm in a hurry, that's not the direction I go. And one of the reasons that I make cards is because I like to share them. I like to give them away. I like to bring people joy. And sometimes it takes a lot of quantity because I don't want anybody in this group to feel left out. And so I'm not going to just pick my favorites or the people who I've talked to most recently. So I send one to every single one of them that have the same job title. It is a lot. It's a lot of people. Here, this is a cute Summer is Here Again. There's a lot of summery stuff, and some of the people that are getting these cards, not all of them, but some of them are people who get the summer off. So that's sort of the point of it, saying have a great summer and enjoy your summer, and summer is here. And so that is the advantage to this paper pad and paper pack. It's just that I'm just all summered out, I think, already. And sometimes it's really torture for me to go back and use something. And so I think there was a temptation on my part to just pull out a new 6x6 and make cards. But Daniela and Bourbon Creek Crafts have been doing some amazing, really diligent videos about using up the paper they have, and I think I need to do that. The other thing about doing this is it's really going to make me think when I'm shopping. Not, we try and do a freeze, and some of us do it more for space and organization and cutting the chaos than anything. But I think here you can see, I just want to tell you about this. I matted them on the navy just to give them a little bit of pop. I didn't lift them up, but I put them on navy to give it some contrast and a layer. Layering your sentiments and your cards, it just does so much for them. You can see the difference as you advance as a card maker between when you layered things and when you didn't. And for simplicity, if I have the paper, which I try and do, I use the same color. I know that navy goes with it. I already have a navy background. I can matte things in navy. I don't know what I was talking about now, so we might not get back to that. Okay, so I'm just going to keep layering those up. And as I go through this video, be sure to note I am saving almost everything. I know you can't really see it, but of course I'm throwing away those stupid little white things when I peel them off. But the pieces of paper, those little blue strips up there, I'm going to keep those in the upper left. Those tiny, tiny little bits I just cut off, I won't keep. But having those pieces lay around, that's really helpful when you're layering, embellishing. You can use them for scrap cards. You can put the bits of them on the inside of the card. Don't throw it away until you're at the very, very, very end. And then sometimes I put it in the scrap bags that I do for kids in my life. And sometimes I put it in my scrap bin or my bags where I use the strips to make cards. Because the old dog, you guys, she's having a hard time, but she's not dying or anything. She's just old. But then I go back and I make strip cards, which make amazing backgrounds. Here I'm taking the Wink of Stella and just making some of those ice cream cones sparkle a bit. A little bit of interest in these cards. I didn't use very much bling at all or glitter, but I just tried to add a little bit. Here, had I glued them all together and not, introduced Wink of Stella and different things, I probably would have gone through this at like 10 times instead of 6 times, but I'm just working through. I love how that card turned out. That's the blue bias, right? I do like the blue. So, like I said, be sure you're saving absolutely everything. There are just other options. There's so many. Even if it's not part of like killing a paper pad or no paper left behind, there are other ways to use tiny bits, even if they don't even resemble the paper collection anymore. So just keep that in mind. That being said, had I remembered to die cut or punch out of all of these, I probably wouldn't have used them a lot for this. I would have just set aside those navy circles or scallops or whatever I cut out for later, because I was really trying to use these papers and not bring in a bunch of extra stuff, because I have to keep going until it's used up, right? So I don't want to use or add to it. I found some solids later that I didn't realize were in there. So then I used those for my grounding. They're like grounding effects, like that green circle. The lemonade stand sticker wouldn't have stood out nearly as much. Now here I'm starting to look at my sticker sheet and just add little bits of color, little accents to the cards. Sticker sheets, it's very trendy now to have multiple little words and multiple sentiments that you can mix and match. So my goal is just to use a bunch of those up and try and figure out where they go. And I have enough experience from like the Play All Day events that Shelby at Embellish Online and taking her classes that I know if I take the sticker and I just stick it on there and all the stickers on the page on the card are like that, I'll be disappointed. So that's why I put the Love Summer one on the green paper, just so that something on that page was matted and it added interest. That's my personal preference. I almost always like something to be matted to bring that same green into the card a little more and to add more interest. If the whole thing is flat, I'm going to be disappointed and think, oh, I shouldn't have stuck that down. But those Echo Park stickers, they stick well. So typically once it's down, you're committed. And the same for this adhesive from Tuesday morning that I used to put my cards together. So every once in a while, something goes down a little different than I planned, but that's the way it's going to be. Here I'm just putting them together as quick as I can. And like I said, I think the best way to do things is in giant batches. I think that really helps with speed. That's why I tried to cut so many of the card layers and build cards in the same phase at the same time. This one is still in my no paper left behind, deal with it pile. That is a Dilutions cutout from last year. I think I colored it with colored pencil. I really like it, but I haven't used it yet. It just didn't work with the papers and the stickers, so I think I'll just put some die cuts on it and make it work, right? I have to use everything. I will. So some of these stickers are from the other collection that came in my Echo Park warehouse box. I don't know what's up with my lighting. It doesn't flash yellow like that in real life. I think it has to do with the OT lights. The Delightful Crafter said something about that, and she got different lights and doesn't have that problem, so I might need to do that. I loved that this paper, the stickers, had stars in it, and that became my inspiration sort of for my next ones, because with these super hot colors, I just didn't feel like flowers were the way to go. Oh, you saw me put my sweatshirt on there? That's what I do if I can't find a paper towel. I don't know where they are. But if I have different textures and I don't want to rub across it. And in this video, I'm using art glitter glue in that tiny bottle. The video about the mishap with the needle, okay, that has not gone well. And I had to put glue in this bottle because like Thursday night, I realized the blue pin keeps coming off of my needle. So then my needle sticks in my bottle. And you don't want to put a pin that isn't stainless steel in there because it'll rust. So my art glitter glue, I need to order a new tip because really I think I just need a new pin, but my tip's kind of messed up too. So that's what I learned from that. But I think if you've watched that video I made, you will never make those mistakes and damage your pin, so you won't have that problem. Okay, I thought this one was super cute, and it was off the other sticker sheet, but it had flip-flops and stuff on a clothesline, and that was kind of what was going on that card, so I liked it. It was super simple, and then I took Wink of Stella and colored in the teal swimsuit because it was my favorite thing on there. I like teal. Okay, then we go in a totally different direction. Just the flower pot inspired me, but it was too plain on the yellow, so with a little navy scallop punch, then it's super cute. But then I thought it needed a little something more, so I added more, but I'd like to know what you think. Should I have stopped right there, or does the bow help? I like the bow for texture, but I don't know. I kind of liked the way it looked like it was sitting on a table, and then the bow doesn't really help that. I thought about wrapping it around, but it just wasn't working. So then I switched and I made just a little bow, clipped it, and put it on with a tiny glue dot, just squished the glue dot behind it. So that's how it was in the end. Which way did you like it better? I'd be curious to know. I have a tendency to keep things super clean and understated, maybe too much so. Okay, I take my glue bottle. I don't like things floppy, but I'm not going around all the edges with adhesive, right? So if something's a little floppy, I just take that tiny glue pin, pop it in there, and put some glue in there. It's easier to me than the amount of adhesive and glue that I would have to do to get every edge down perfectly all the time. Here, I was experimenting. I was just trying to make this work. I'm going to use them all. It's going to happen. But I just felt like it was fighting me. And so then I just hacked it off and put it right over the hanging out. The hanging out was already there and it wasn't coming off, right? So you have to figure out how to work with it. A lot of the stickers and stuff talk about sunshine too, so I like that. Even if they don't say summer, they do talk about sunshine. Then here I'm just making as many card fronts in a row as I can and trying to use the stickers and do what I can to generate the cards. I mean, when you need a big batch, you can't stop and think too long about which side of the piece of paper you're going to use, or if that sticker or different sentiment is going to look perfect with that color, right? Navy probably wasn't the best color for that card, but it was handy and it worked. So here's a big batch of them. Those are the ones that went out on Friday. I don't think I really have any of those left here. So there's not a project share. I mean, that's it. You can see them right there. Then we're going to move on, and here I like the fish. So I'm trying to figure out, I also wasn't sure if the fish were square. So I decided I better do a little true up on my cutting because you never know what I was doing. I remember last year, I think I used these papers for the same batch of cards. So they were in some rough shape all over my dining room table. I laid out that card on the left and never did that. It was kind of cute and I like those green stripes, but I don't know what happened to that one. Sometimes I lay things out and then I move them and don't actually remember to make that specific card. That's why I don't do very many tutorials, because I move fast and crazy and I'm super messy. At one point in this video, I had everything laid out perfectly. I did a whole bunch of die cutting and I forgot to turn the camera on for you guys. So what I was doing was getting all the card fronts ready. I did all the die cutting the sentiments, gluing the layers of the sentiments together. And then I had like 12 cards perfectly laid out and forgot to turn the camera on and realized it about 6 cards in. You get to see them all, but you don't necessarily get to see every phase of those cards because of that. This card, I was struggling. Can you guys tell? I was trying to use up like the suntan lotion sunblock bottle and all those weird little stickers, and I didn't want to cover up too many of the fish. It was troublesome. Here I'm putting Winka Stella on the fish. Now I'm showing you kind of what I have left at this point. Okay, I have a whole bunch of scraps. I've cut all the cut aparts apart. I have all these strips and different things. I still have some stickers. Oops, that's Noni in case you were wondering. I still have some stickers on my sticker sheet, and I only have 2 pieces of 12 by 12 left at this point. So I feel pretty good about that because I started with a bigger mess. Now I'm going back through those cards and I'm going to put strips of paper on the inside, right? Dress them up a little. This is a great way to use up your scraps. If you watch Christy Marcotte, she does this. And it also helps. This is really nice cardstock that I made my card bases on. But if you're using, for budget or because you have it and you want to use it up, whatever reason, I'm not saying you have to use products that I use ever. But if you're using a lower cardstock and it's maybe not super thin, a strip of cardstock across the bottom on the inside helps strengthen it, or maybe a vertical one. I've gotten away with making tons and tons of cards on the 65-pound card bases. This bright green paper and the navy paper that I'm using here, very inexpensive from Michaels. But I have discovered the Michaels, I think it's 110 pound, and it is amazing, you guys, for sturdy, nice card bases. I'm not going to get Copics and use them on there, but it makes amazing card bases. Okay, I'm not exactly sure where my phone is. We're going to have to find it. Okay, we're going to silence Noni for now. All right. Yeah, the Crafting and Relaxing Club, we're very active, and, it gets kind of crazy. Sometimes I have trouble making videos here. Andrea came by today and I told her, don't move anything because I'm in the middle of a video. Of course, that was when I forgot to turn the camera back on, so it wouldn't have mattered if she did. I was hoping she'd clean something. Okay, so you saw I put that in. The other thing I do is I'm really looking at the stickers and making sure that I've used everything that I can. I look for opportunities to use, see, that's the sticker and I'm using it inside the card, or little tiny stickers. It doesn't have to be a stripe. It can be a piece of watermelon or a bicycle or whatever you have. I just look and I'm trying to find things that go with the color scheme, because I don't want to get to the end and have a card that's only blue and white and have just the yellow stickers left. I mean, that's a bad example because that would work, but you know what I'm saying. In some paper collections or stickers, it doesn't work. On that last one, you'll notice that I didn't go all the way across the bottom of the card. That's because that sticker stuck down and I was committed. So sometimes I cut the paper too short anyway, so that's what I did there. Here, this is a great money saver and also just add texture. I use the strip between the stickers. I don't throw that out. We buy tiny, tiny stickers and narrow washi tapes and all kinds of things. So I use those little strips that go between the stickers. In this case, they were the colors of the paper, right? And then this one, it looks like waves. It was really the trash of the stickers. I love it. And just don't throw those out without really looking at everything. You'll see that I start to trim my sticker sheet down, and that's because I'm trying to check every inch of it and make sure I've gotten everything. Here, I had that arrow down, but I wanted to put hot air balloons on the inside. It was pretty fun to have the 6x6 with the smaller scale and the 12x12. This might be one of maybe only 2 times I've ever done that. So I could have smaller ice cream cones on the inside of a card that had big ones on the front, and the same with hot air balloons. Here you can see I'm going through the sticker sheet. Oops, missed a flower right in the middle. And I'm throwing away the parts that I'm done with so I can get them out of my way and really focus on what's left. I loved that wave, and I just trimmed it for more interest and also to not take up so much space. And in fact, I didn't write a lot on the inside of these cards. So a couple of Nonis had a sentiment on the inside. I probably should have done more of that and put bigger pieces of paper on the inside. Maybe I'll keep that in mind next year. I would write more, but I don't know all of the people the same, and I don't know everything about them. So I just try and keep it really general, and I was in a hurry. Okay, there, I put some bling in the flowers. I did not use much bling in these at all. I put a little tiny bit of bling on that hot air balloon on the star. And again, I'm just using up those stickers. I don't know. I don't think I have a favorite in these cards in the end. Let me know if you do. I was just going as quick as I could, putting them all together. And this gives you an idea. This is pretty much how I make a bunch of cards. If I sit down or when I go to attack a paper pad, I like to take all the papers and lay them out. I learned that from Christy Marcotte. That helps me not tear one. If I tear 1 or 2 out one by one, then that's about how many I use. And then I get sidetracked and something else happens. But if I take them all out and lay them out on the counter or the table, then it really helps me look at how they're going to go together and keeps me inspired. And it keeps things moving. I mean, if the idea is that you're going to use them all, take them out of the pad. I'm not sure why we're out of focus, but it'll fix. Here's a good example. I'm putting small ice cream cones on the inside of the card. Oh, let me tell you what I think about the bottle of glue. When I do a long strip, I hate the way that metal tip on that bottle drags. It's much more coarse and blunt than the art glitter glue tip. I feel like the art glitter glue tip is maybe beveled or it glides lovely. I'm super picky about like when I get my teeth cleaned, I don't like it. I don't like things gritting and grinding, so that could just be me. Noni likes those bottles, and she gave that to me months ago, and I hadn't tried it, but since I broke mine, it was time. I don't like how it drags on big surfaces, but I do love how you can control it so well by squeezing it and not putting very much in it. Here I'm making some more of the base layers for more cards, and I'm just using the same measurements we've been using in the card template series for beginners. Anyway, I do love how that little tiny bottle, you can squeeze it, and I feel like you can really, really control the amount of glue that comes out of it. But I think I'd really rather just spend the $5, or maybe it's $10 because I have to get a 2-pack, and get a new tip for my art glitter glue. That's just me. It's personal preference. All of your crafting supplies should be based on you. They should be based on your budget, your phase in your life, how much you do things. For example, I'm using this cutter right now because it's small and light and it works well for videos. My big green cutter, what's it called? Caterpillar crop. It is heavy. It was in the cupboard, and I got out of the habit of using it because it kind of makes a bad sound. It's just not a very good sound in videos, I didn't think. And so if I'm not doing a voiceover, I try and avoid using it. But I could have used it. Same for glue, scissors. My hands are big. You guys have given me some great ideas for little scissors. I'm going to start checking them out. I'll be in Michael's holding my hands up to the Martha Stewart scissors soon. And is Michael's where you get the Tim Holtz ones? I don't know, but I'll go look. I might just try them all. It might be like cutters. I take them very seriously. I don't spend money on, well, a lot of stuff. Makeup, I'm not that into. Clothes for work, I buy out of necessity, but I'm not that excited about them. But my craft supplies, I take very seriously. I think a lot of us are that way, aren't we? But let me tell you, if you start focusing on actually using all your stuff, I think it's really going to change the quantity that you buy. I am, let's see, it's what, the 8th of June, and I went to Expo, which was a crazy spree, and I think Expo, technically, I went on the 31st, and then Gretchen of Cat and Paws said she was going to do a no-buy month, and I said, okay, I'm going to support you for 1 day, and then 2 days, and now I think I'm doing it. I feel like I might make it all month. I don't know. The art glitter glue, the tip, that might send me over the edge. I didn't go get the Tim Holtz thing at Tuesday morning, the little die cutter, Sidekick, I think. I don't know. But I just don't need it. I need to clean my craft room. And I was so busy on these cards today that I don't have the giveaway figured out yet, but I'm hoping that I can do it on Sunday, and then maybe that'll be a video that comes out shortly after this one. Okay, here I'm just making bases. And again, I didn't spend a lot of time figuring out which side of the paper to use. I discovered I liked this paper because it went so well with that background paper that I chose. And I don't really know what the best way is to get the adhesive cut, but I found 4 fingers worked pretty good because there's 4 sides on the paper. And I should not stack up those teal papers in the background when I go to attach my front, because that's how I end up crooked, because the edges, I think it's the edge of the paper I'm gluing to, and it's the one underneath it. Here, I'm just chopping as quick as I can. I know I need more cards at this point, and I have more paper, so I'm just chop, chop, chop. Go, go, go. And I think I still have fun, even if I'm in a hurry, even if I kind of waited till the last minute. Look, that one I actually remembered to punch the stuff out of. Oh, look, there I go again. 2 cards in the whole thing, I think, you guys. Isn't that crazy? So I would have a stack. Those scallops in that color would be great to build flowers on top of for embellishments for cards. They'd be great for little sentiments. You really can't have too many die cuts or too many circles or scallops, right? I don't have a lot of punches. I pretty much have circles and scallops and stars, and not many stars. Here we're getting into where I was starting the die cutting. So I got out the dies, and the reason that I knew I needed dies at this point is because I had gone through almost all the sentiments in the paper cut aparts and the stickers, and I need some sort of sentiment. So I went with the hellos. I have quite a few hellos. I like hello. It works for almost everything. I would like to buy more. And now that I'm looking at these cards at the end of the night, I realize I have another hello die. It's that one with the circle like wreath around it, but that might have been cute. Like I said, these are super geometric, and so that was hard for me because a lot of my stuff is more organic and natural, but it's a good challenge. Here, I used this paper because it's a thick, heavy cardstock, but I could have used paper from the collection. I just didn't think about it because I didn't know there was a solid. And what I'm doing is I'm gluing down some of the scraps. I have some that I know are so small, I'm not going to put them on the inside of a card, and I'm just making a scrap card as I go. They're going to fall on the floor, they're annoying me, but they're not small enough to put in the trash. So I'm gluing them down. This is a super messy scrap card. I mean, when I actually sit down to make them, I do them slightly nicer, but it's a don't overthink it, just craft and relax and have a great time kind of project. And I'm not sure why I slowed that part down for you to see. And I'm just going to glue these down and then set it aside. And at the very end, probably, of the no paper left behind, I'll recap and show you the last of the other stuff I made, because I'm not done at the end of this video. And I'll just do a project share on those. I'm not going to show you everything that I make with the rest of the set. It's a pretty fun set, but there's a lot going on. I love that blue paper straight above where I'm working right now. I know, shocking. And I fell in love with the right-hand side paper, the blue and teal and red, or maybe those are light blues. Fell in love with it. Okay, here I'm showing you that hello die is from that Hero Art stamp set. And this double layer hello die is the hello jotted script die from Memory Box. So I just wanted to show you, in case you just absolutely love one of these hellos, what package they were from. Because I actually knew where they were. Aren't you impressed? Okay, this is after I lost the first part. I've laid these out, and just imagine there were like twice as many, and this is how I did it. I was die cutting and die cutting and die cutting, and then I laid things out. And I got inspired by the star stickers and decided to use stars. So I have my EK Tools Cutter Bee pink dies. I am in love with the blue dies, the sapphire dies that Sizzix has come out with. Oh my gosh, I don't have any yet, but I see them in my future. Not this month, right? So before I turned on the camera, even what I was planning to do was I layered the sentiments, the hello where it's two parts, because you didn't need to watch me do that. You've seen that in other videos. And then I kind of laid out what I thought would go together. What I just did with that gold washi is I taped the lid peg thing on my glue bottle. I taped it down. It was making me crazy, and I know if I take it off, I'll lose it. So I just taped it so it wasn't in my way while I was gluing like 100 million things. And as I watched this video, I noticed in the beginning I used adhesive tape on like 1/2-inch strips and circles and stuff. And then today I used art glitter glue. Like I said, sometimes it's just what I can find. I honestly, at most of today, didn't know where that roll of adhesive was and didn't want to open a brand new one. Here I'm cutting out a circle to give that stability, and I used the 6x6 paper pad. You'll notice I didn't line it up perfectly. There's a white skim around one side of it. That's part of why I try and punch out of something that will match. So if white matches, then I use it. If I'm using craft cardstock, I try and punch out of craft. Whatever goes, just in case you have an oops. Then I thought I needed another piece of foam under there. So my trick is I don't take the adhesive off of the bottom side. I just use it as a spacer. So I take one side off. It slides in pretty well if you only have it sticky on one side. And then it sticks itself in there because it has one side. I'm using just regular tweezers. You get them at the dollar store, you get them anywhere, or you could buy fancy tweezers. I've been looking at fancy tweezers. I noticed Tasha bought some. A Date with My Craft Room is Tasha at Expo. Hillary bought the same ones. I thought they were kind of hard to push. I don't know. I think I'm worried about carpal tunnel. Is anybody else worried about that? I think because I'm on a keyboard all day and I want to be able to craft when I'm old. I think I'm going to take up knitting. I mean, maybe I'll still be making cards, but at some point I want to try knitting. I love this card I'm working on right now. It's ridiculously plain. I love the colors. I think, oh my gosh, these would be great Christmas cards. I don't know. I love how this one turned out. I think I'm just going to follow my passion and use stars on like everything from now on. I'm using so many of those 1/2-inch strips because when I cut that card base layer, I end up with those 1/2-inch strips. So remember, I have like a pile of them off to the side. So it's a nice way to get contrast. I would prefer, honestly, that the strip be larger behind that big circle because it would be more stable. It would look a little better. Like I would like a 1 inch or a 1.5, but I have a bunch of 1/2 inches sitting around. Oh, this is a great one I want to share with you. See that yellow star and how it went off the page? It went off the page because when I was die cutting, there wasn't enough room on the paper for the large star. There's a art or graphic design concept about, and like stamping, anytime you're doing decoration, have some of them go off the page. So like if you're stamping flowers or hearts or whatever, have some go off the page. Stars, same thing. So instead of cutting out a whole star and trimming it down, if it doesn't quite fit on the page when you're die cutting, you don't have enough glitter paper or foil paper or yellow paper left, pretend that's how you wanted it. It works the same. I did have to trim because it was the part of the paper that tore out of the top. So it wasn't a real clean edge. I had to tidy it with my scissors. Okay, here, you know why I'm using all these 1/2-inch strips. If they cross, it emphasizes it and you get like a really clean look and a nice focal point. I was careful about having inconsistencies in depth and texture because I didn't want to have to put circles behind everything, and I was not going to deal with foam mount and a lot of my favorite techniques that I do. That's not going to work when you're doing 60 cards. So again, you know why we're using that. We are using these sizes in circles probably because those are the circle punches that I have. And I do have more scallops because I got them at the garage sale, but I haven't really tested them out to make sure that I like them and how they layer. And I didn't love the scallops with the super strong geometric pattern. You know what I mean? I feel like the scallops go better with girly things and flowers and that kind of thing. I didn't love them with these really harsh patterns. Okay, I loved this little postcard looking thing, but I wanted it to stand out more, so I matted the postcard itself. It was a cut apart in the pack, and then I couldn't find the other tape, so I used a super narrow one that was already open and laid it down. Sometimes if I'm doing a great big surface, I don't want to do it with art glitter glue because then I have to wait for it, and I don't know. I don't know if it bows at all, but I don't have that problem at all with tape. And then I just wrote hello on the postcard. So simple and ridiculously cute. I think I love that color palette. That might be my favorite paper and colors in all these cards. The yellow and green, oh, I'm not feeling that. I mean, I hope somebody watching this video is really feeling it. I think it's great for summer, but I just use those because they tie in with the paper so well. And I had them. In fact, I think the yellow and green on these cards now, these are from the paper. So the other side of them is printed, and in the 6x6, there were the solids. So I'm doing no paper left behind, I tell you. I'm using that stuff up. I love these stars, but after about 1 million of them, I was kind of regretting that I didn't do my adhesive more efficiently. The little glass things, I'm setting those down to help so my stuff doesn't curl up. I'm just helping my glue set while I move on. I know it doesn't look great in the video when you put your trash right in the middle of the screen, but sorry. Here, I cut that flag expecting to use the multicolored side, but I used the other. There's a yellow star right there that I did the same thing with. It's off the page because it didn't fit on the paper. I ran the paper through the die cut machine as many times as I could and got those little tiny stars to fill in all the gaps. And then here you can see my little jar of 1/2-inch strips. Kind of get an idea of what I'm left with. Then I'm just touching up a place that needed a little more glue and just really trying to wrap up. I fade at the end. Okay, here I brought in some silver washi, which, by the way, this is where I got the Christmas card inspiration because I think this totally looks like a winter or Christmas card. It's adorable. Oh, that paper was long enough to go all the way across the card, but I glued it down partway in as if it was just going to go across the colored paper. So then I had to adjust. So you'll see that more after I take the jar off of it. But I really like that paper. That was definitely my favorite. I think last year I might have used the fish. Oh, I think I used the fish for Caitlin's birthday card because she is always into finding. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm tired. What's his name? You know, the movie with the fish. Nemo. There we go. Okay, so look, it says hello. It has glitter washi on it. Super cute. And there's my head. Okay, now I'm going back through the whole stack as quick as I can, and I'm putting bling on them. And I'm putting it in the middle of the stars. I'm trying not to block it if it had a hollow center and the pattern shows. But just a little here and there, usually odd numbers, trying to move your eye around the page. The circle, like that circle, I felt like it was a little big for the sentiment, so I put them on there to add interest. I love the stars, so I'm putting bling on the stars. If you're really into bling, you could put it all over. It doesn't just have to be on the stars or the circle, but kind of seems like that's what I did. If you are trying to get things in a straight row, do the ends first and then fill in the center. It works better, but I forget to do it. It's a good habit, though. Learn to do things right the first time, not the way I do them. Here's that one where the star's hanging off the page. It's just kind of a nice way to see. But this shows you, too, I do them in phases. I don't know why. I think just so I can go faster and I don't have to stop and think about it. Plus, if I'm using wet glue, those stars weren't totally set. So to try and put the jewels right on top of them and deal with that, I think a little bit of dry time is good. That's the card. I love it. It is so simple and easy. It's ridiculous. Okay, you guys, thank you so much for watching. If you stuck with me to the end, you're a little bit crazy, but I so appreciate it. So this is what I have left at this point, and I will use it up and show you what I made. Look, I ended up with some partial cards. I don't know what happened to those. They probably got lost in the pile. That's what happens to me. I'm so messy, I just lose stuff. All right, thank you so much for watching. Give me a thumbs up, and I really appreciate you watching this video. Bye-bye.